Welcome to Talk to Kimi. Today I'll be speaking to one of the most iconic actresses of our time, Miss Simone Lahbib. Simone, hello.
Hi, Kimi. Hi. That's a lovely introduction.
Oh, you're welcome.
I like the iconic bit.
Well, it's the truth.
That's true, but I like you.
Simone, you obviously get sent quite a lot of scripts.
Not strictly, to be honest with you. I don't get sent an awful lot. I wish I did, but yeah, not you do go up for jobs along the way that and you'll get scripts that you have to read in preparation for going in for castings and stuff. Which varying degrees of enjoyable depending on how good the script is. But when you get a good script to read, even just going up for a meeting for it can be great fun.
If you're reading something in advance, when do you know that that's the character that you want to play?
It's very instinctive with me. You just feel a connection. Your level of excitement comes up. Sometimes you'll read a character that is similar to something that you've played already. Then that depends on whether there's other things that excite you about the script. Because you don't always necessarily want to play things that are too similar to one another, given the choice. But if there's something, I don't know, it can be different things. It really depends on where your head's at in your own life and what you're reading or what you're researching, what's interesting you. If you see something in that character, something that you want to explore, something new. One of the things I love about my job, and not just acting, other things I do, is that I have the opportunity to try new things, constantly feel that I'm learning, One of the downsides, I feel that I can't concentrate on watching TV or anything like that anymore. I'm constantly, on the internet looking things up, when I've got free time. Obviously I'm a mum and I'm busy, but although, given the opportunity, if there's a good film, sit down and watch a good film. And even then I find myself, something in the film will catch my attention and I want to look it up. I want to look, I have to no, focus on the film, push the iPad away, Probably a lot of people can identify with that.
Yes, I'm sure they do.
It's a compulsion of our times at the moment, isn't it?
It is.
Isn't it great? I mean, used to, if you were interested in something, you'd have to go to the library, get your card out, get a book out, buy books. And now everything is there at your fingertips. It's fantastic for what I do anyway.
Yes, it is. It's also a bit lazy.
Possibly. And, you have to read through a lot because there's a lot of bad writing on the internet and misinformation as well. So filter your way through, and be discerning about what you read and what you take on as real or truthful,
Yes. Okay, Simone, which character would you say you learned the most from?
I learned quite a bit doing, for instance, Wire in the Blood, because her job is obviously very different from mine, the whole forensic element of it and policing and even, how you go into an interview with a suspect and the psychology that is at play with all of that. I find that fascinating. But they're all very different, from Monica the Glen, where my character's trying to leave her city job and become a sheep farmer. She's Demons, was a job that I did recently. Such a different person from I am. I had to really switch into somebody that was very queen-like, very under that. There was a woman there that in the beginning. I mean, she changed. That's another thing I love. When you get scripts where your character actually has a development. Because of things that they've gone through, and Da Vinci's Demons definitely had that. She started off, she was in a very unloving relationship and was quite masculine and, quite aggressive, angry, and as she kind of fell in love with the Riario character played by Blake, she softened, and it was like the onion layers falling away to you get to the core of the person, and you were able to see this quite vulnerable person at times, so I love that. I love that as well. When there's that duality, I've played that quite a bit, that a character that's strong in certain situations and vulnerable in others. I think that's a nice bit of drama in itself, really.
And I think it's quite reflective of most people. It's not always what you see is who they are. So, stripping a character bare as much as it's, it keeps people interested.
Yeah, well, I think people want to, well, I imagine, this is speaking from my point of view, you want to see the person, you want to see them quite free and unbuttoned, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
What's the, you want to see those connections that you go, yes, I do that, and that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm like that when that happens. It's kind of life affirming, isn't it? When you see behaviours or, somebody that's had an emotional reaction to something that you've been through yourself, or something in their story that those familiarities that I think and good storytelling. We all love good stories.
Oh, we do.
Goes back to that. I mean, that's at the core of it all.
Can I just go back to when you were DI Alex Fielding?
Yeah.
Obviously, you say that you were really interested in the forensic side, which I think today with all your CSI and all the publicity surrounding it, if you were to go into a morgue and you've got John Doe lying there with no feet, where would you put his toe tag?
So if John Doe was lying there, you'd have to put the toe tag on his toe, would you not?
No, but he's got no feet.
Oh, he's got no feet.
His feet have been cut off. So where do you put his toe tag?
Well, I would put it on his finger, but I'm not sure. Where would you put it, Kimi? Where would you put it? It depends if it was a body like, Laura Serrata's husband's body and, her very first scene in Da Vinci's Demons, then you might also have a problem there.
Mm-hmm. There may be a few different, there's a few different options there.
That was a naughty question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just like to put little ones in.
That was cheeky. No.
You've done quite a lot of movies with your husband.
Yes.
One of my favourite ones was The Other Side of My Sleep, which I think was just it was beautifully acted, beautifully written, and a very, very emotional journey.
Yes.
Where did the idea for that come up?
It came up from my husband's personal experience of his grandmother dying in Italy, and he kind of transposed that idea, and also to London, and which is something that's happened in his family, that displacement. His mum and dad live in London. Well, his dad's passed now, but lived in London. And, his grandma used to say those things, that she couldn't wait to die towards the end. She wanted to be with her husband, and she would dream about him. And all those things, leave me, it was like everybody was holding her back. His imagination obviously went with that, and imagine, what it was that she was seeing on the other side of her sleep, when and each sleep she was getting closer and closer to her husband, I thought that part of the story was beautiful and beautifully filmed as well,
Yes.
The use of light, and they went to Italy, my husband and cinematographer, and they shot on his grandma's farm. With all our, all the films, contrapuntal films, using all our connections, family members and friends, and drawing people in that we, know and love, and working that way is great fun and very, very satisfying.
Do you prefer being part of a TV drama series or having a part in a movie?
I would love to do more film. I love that you quite quickly, not quite quickly, but you have over that 90 minutes or however long the film is, you have your beginning, your middle and your end, and you do that journey within that time scale, depending on how big your role is. But and I also, like I say, I love watching film. The beauty of TV is that spans out longer, so you have the opportunity to really get to know your characters well, and they become very familiar, and you're experiencing them in different situations. And I've enjoyed doing both. Obviously, I've done much more TV, and I do like the aspect that you go into work on a kind of daily basis when you're doing a TV series. I like that. I like that go to work feeling. That sense of purpose every day.
Okay, you've said that you like watching lots of movies when you can actually switch off from everything else and just enjoy it. Which role would you have loved to have played?
I always had a desire to play a character called Thérèse Raquin from by Zola. I always imagined, playing it in the theatre. I think I saw it in the theatre once. And she has, I don't know if it's partly because she has very little dialogue, but I love the idea. I mean, I always loved playing, that non-verbal communication and sitting in something and exploring it that way, you know. And that character gives that opportunity. Plus, just the subject matter, you know, she really wants to kill her husband. And anyway, so that would have been nice. But I think possibly I've gone past the age for playing that, so that's a shame. Just interesting characters.
As you know, I'd put out a message on Twitter asking for questions, and I have to say I've been completely inundated. By last night, we had over 100, which is astonishing. One of the most frequent questions that came through was if you would meet somebody for a meal, if you would go out for a drink. So I'm not going to ask those questions. To you, what's the most positive thing about having this committed fan base behind you?
They are, and there's a great loyalty, and they've been so supportive in everything that I do. That, you know, I felt it very strongly. Fundraising, for instance, for the charity, Daily Brown Memorial Fund that we set up. You know, the generosity, the people doing their own fundraising thing, just amazing. I've got behind, and constant daily activity and messages, and you know, there's a few people in there that I've actually got to know fairly well through messaging, and could always say that you know, I've kind of made online friends that way, kind of pen pal friends. You know, that I know that specialise in certain areas, and you know, there've been a couple that I've actually gone to, you know, to pick their brains about certain things in their field of expertise. That it's quite a phenomenon, the whole Twitter thing, and how instantly you can connect with people. And you know, I know that, you know, obviously there's nothing like being face to face and having that kind of relationship, but there is something to be gotten out of, you know, that pen pal kind of connection. You can get to know people fairly well that way, and open up and have that kind of mutual support, you know.
And if it wasn't for Twitter, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
Exactly. And here was where I was so resistant to going on it, you know. It just all seemed like invasive, and you know, I was worried about my privacy, and you know, and I was very, very guarded when I first came on. Got my washing line out, my knickers and my tights on display. Yeah.
It's nice having the interaction.
Yes, it really is. Yeah.
Just another couple of questions for you. What has been your worst interview ever? Please don't say this one.
Oh no, this one's great. I think there was one that I did, a daily Scottish show, and I don't know, I think that nervy guardedness is not ideal for doing an interview. And I misheard what was said to me, and I haven't gone back to watch it, but I remember how it felt. It just felt really, I know, I'm sure that I didn't come across very well at all. So that was a very awkward one. Difficult in a different way was another one. It was for daytime Scottish TV show when we went on to speak about the charity, and I went on with my sister and my brother-in-law, speaking about that openly. It's difficult, you know, and I remember we walked off, and my brother-in-law and my sister just walking straight and hitting that front door and turning a corner, and just the two of them just, you know, breaking down crying. Anyway, so that was another very difficult interview for a whole different reasons. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to be much more free and relaxed.
Yeah, I think you have to be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, what was the last furry thing that you touched?
Furry, my dog.
Oh.
my dog on a daily basis. Oh, but mind you, that's not true. I'm at my mum's just now in Scotland. I've come up to visit my brother who's not very well, and my mum always makes me a hot water bottle with a teddy bear furry cover on.
Oh.
So I've actually got that sitting on my lap just now when I'm speaking to you.
Oh, lovely.
In my dad's office. So otherwise, yeah, my dog, lovely little Yorkshire Terrier called Coco, who's just a wee sweetheart and brings me a lot of joy in my life.
It's amazing how dogs have that effect on you.
Oh my goodness! I heard someone say that they felt that dogs are put on earth to teach us how to love, and I know that sounds maybe a bit hippie, but anyone that has a dog will probably relate to that. They're just the most loving, unconditionally loving, you know.
Yeah.
And she's playful still like a puppy. In the morning for a cuddle in bed. And, she's just lovely.
Yeah, mine's is
great
the same.
Joy.
She's coming up for 12 this year. But we try not to tell her because she doesn't appear to realise her age. And,
that's good. So she's really well, keeping well. That's great.
She is. I remember there was a movie, I don't know if you've watched it, called Up.
Yes.
The Pixar movie. And
yes, of course I've watched it, yeah.
One of the greatest parts of that resonated with me is when Kevin called, and I can't remember the little boy's name, the character, but he said, "You're my human."
Yes.
And I thought, that's what it is. You know, they're not our dogs. They've picked us to be their humans.
That's it. And it always astounds me that, you know, for instance, a friend comes over sometimes with her dog because we get on really well, you know. It always amazes me that our dog doesn't want to follow out and be with her doggy best friend, you know. It's like that she still wants to stay with us, even though we're human, and you know, and there was another dog that she's connected with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the connection is really real.
Huh? Definitely.
Yes, I saw that film up. I'll tell you my experience of it. When we sat and watched it, we took my daughter, and the part in the film where his wife finds out that she's miscarried.
Oh, yes.
And the day before, I'd been through the same experience, and I'd found out I'd had a miscarriage. I'm sitting there with my daughter and going through, you know, it resonates with me, that film, as you can imagine. That sequence in it always makes me cry. But at the same time, you know, it's a very uplifting film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think these films, they probably give us more messages than like your Oscar-nominated, you know, BAFTA-winning big movies, if you like. But
yeah, they're important films. You know, and I agree with you. But perhaps in a way they are kind of overlooked. You know, with these award ceremonies for sure, because they, you know, they come under children's animation categories.
Yes.
But, you know, people appreciate them, I think, the world over, really.
Okay, Simone, this is the last question.
Okay.
If you could choose any of your co-stars to be your slave for a day, who would it be and what would you have them do?
I suppose it would have to be Robson. Because he's just such a hoot to have around, and I think that would be quite funny. I think that he would go with it as well. He would go with it just for a laugh. So, yes, Robson Green, you have got that. I was going to say job, but it's not a job. You wouldn't get paid.
I think he would volunteer. I think he would enjoy it.
Slave for the day.
Right, Simone, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you today.
Oh, lovely speaking to you as well, Kimi. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on.
And thank you. Can I just say thank you to everybody that sent in questions and, you know, being supportive, as you always are.
Okay, and thank you again, Simone.